Yo, yo, yo. So, like I previously, earlier in my first video, on my first upload, I briefly sort of mentioned the topic of the word paranormal and how I feel, in fact, that word is a little bit, it's a little, I would say it's a tad bit problematic. Now, the reason being because when we talk about paranormal, if we talk about when you mention that word, what it is, I feel like it's the same thing sort of as calling somebody crazy when you don't understand them. You know, there's this great, I think, a classic interview, Hot Chocolate, with Dave Chappelle, like one of my favorite interviews, where he says that, you know, what happens to these people. He specifically is talking about Martin Lawrence, the actor. If you haven't seen that film, now I don't know actually what the I'm forgetting what the film is in English. I'm from Finland myself, so here it's called Timanttikyttä in Finnish, but I don't know, it's not a diamond cup, it's rush something, I feel like. Or is it like blue streak? I think it's blue streak, actually. I think it's blue streak. So, hi Neighbor. Hi Neighbor. That's my cat, Neo. Yes, I did name my cat from our Lord and Savior, Keanu Reeves, aka Neo. So that's my favorite film, that Matrix. Watch it, kids. Like, that is some deep shit in that film. But actually, I would say anyone who is spiritual in nature, I think human beings are spiritual, you know, whether you recognize that in yourself or not, but you are. But if you really, I guess, feel spiritual and live by it, I would say that Matrix is just, when we talk about films that may have some substance relating to real life, to me, Matrix is the first one. I would not, you know, put my faith in those sequels. Actually, I don't even really want to think about the sequels. But I actually thought the final one was pretty good. I mean, I know that people like to hate on those two films, and this is like unpopular opinion, but those two guys with the like hair and the glasses, those pale dudes, I really can't remember their names because I'm just like doing these filming these things, filming like I have some fancy equipment. I don't, but I wish. Well, I have, I should say. I'm manifesting that into my life. I have like an awesome, I'm like a director or something. Well, I digress. But though, even those two dudes with the hair, those two Medusa dudes, I used to call them Medusa dudes, because their hair reminds you of Medusa, or a little Calypso there also. I even thought they were cool. Like, kind of like Jar Jar in Star Wars. I love Jar Jar. Now, people hate him. Yeah, people hate Jar Jar, but I think Jar Jar Binks is amazing. Anyway, how did this turn to a rambly video about Jar Jar Binks and those Medusa dudes from Matrix? Well, what was I even talking about? Oh yeah, the word paranormal. And Dave Chappelle and Blue Streak. So if you haven't seen Blue Streak, I mean, watch it. It's funny. Like, I think it's funny. And that is like legit wholesome family comedy, like really early 90s, sort of all 2000-y, like classic to me. And in that film, you will find Dave Chappelle and Martin Lawrence, and if my memory serves me correctly, Luke Wilson is also there. And who else? There's a lot of like great actors in there. Also like a little bit like character actors, like older dudes that play cops in that film. I can't remember who were the bad guys in it. Were they somebody known? I don't remember. But Dave Chappelle and Martin Lawrence is all you need to know. And Luke Wilson is so... I mean, that's goals right there. I just think his character is so adorable. Like, I just want to like... Oh, you're so cute. There's just something so... something so just sweet and kind about Luke Wilson's character on Blue Streak. Well, that's enough about Blue Streak. Try to find a video where Blue Streak and paranormal are in the same context. I challenge you. So whatever. So the point being that I feel like the word paranormal really is quite dismissive, because the way we use it, the way the images that it makes us think is really like sort of like hoo-hoo, Scooby-Doo, and like Ghostbusters, and just scary films, horror films like exorcisms, and that sort of stuff. And I have a problem with that, because I just think it's such a lazy way of thinking something, especially if if you are the type of person who likes to debate with people who have experiences or know of the unknown and believe in the so-called paranormal, and you like to debate those people, saying like, well, because it's immediate if you start talking about spiritual experiences, then people obviously, well, some people will kind of back that up with, oh, that's that paranormal shit. And to me, it's like, well, if you don't believe in it, like if you don't want to believe in it, then obviously everything esoteric in nature that you don't understand, you're just gonna call it paranormal, or that it's not to be explained because you don't understand it, or it doesn't mean anything to you in your life, which is weird, because now we have evidence of paranormal, but the evidence obviously is something different, because we're talking about a whole different world than we would talk about purely scientific stuff. So like you would talk about how chemicals, come together and form like another substance, or 1 plus 1 equals 2. Yeah, but if you add 3 to it, it becomes 5. It's like, it's just, I just think it's weird how it's acceptable to not grow as far as like knowledge goes, because there is such a world out there that has aspects of it that you cannot explain in terms that we know or that we have come accustomed to. Like if you wouldn't know anything about fire and you would see fire for the first time, it would be quite magical to you. And you would not maybe even, like, let's say you don't know nothing about fire. Like, fire is something you just have never seen. You don't know what it is, what it does. Is it warm, cold, hot? Is it, is it just a light, or is it supposed to do, like, what is that thing? So that would be something paranormal to you, And now you can say, well, yeah, but then a person can show you, like, this is what I did, this is how I created the fire, and you can cook in it. Well, it's the same thing, like, with people who experience things that are esoteric in nature, or let's use the word paranormal in nature. So they would explain it in terms that make sense to the esoteric world. And they would present evidence that would be esoteric in nature, which makes sense because the experiences are sort of otherworldly. We are not living just this one-dimensional life, and it's very egotistical for us humans to just assume like this is all we know. And if you don't understand something, or the evidence of that phenomena is not something, because how do you define evidence really? Because evidence means different things in different, like, you would look different evidence for like a murder than like let's say investment scam. Like, you don't, they're both crimes, but you would need different type of evidence to prove that that crime indeed happened. So it's just very aggravating. Well, it's frustrating, I would say, when I hear people just throw the evidence card there, because I feel it's somehow a little bit unfair. Like, it won't make sense to you if you're not, like, if it's, and also because it's, a lot of these people who just really want to prove you're, like, that you're crazy or you're wrong, or just like some sort of hippy dippy, on acid, person who came from India after some ayahuasca retreat, and now you're like, which, by the way, like, what if that would be true? That perhaps might be somebody's route to discover something. Like, it's just weird how people think they know what is the truth for someone else. It just makes me sometimes like, because the reason why I even care about this is, truthfully, I just see that even with me, I'm pretty open in a way of my beliefs and knowings of certain things and certain phenomena. But Like, I know that there's so many people who feel restricted, or that they have to hide some aspects of themselves because of these things. And when you are very connected to this side of life, this paranormal, spiritual side of life, it really is like an extension, like a part of you. And if you have to keep that like suppressed or repressed, it really is not healthy, and it's not of any use. Like, it's not serving to anyone. So I just kinda wish people would look at this word paranormal and the whole sort of debates around the paranormal versus like science, because that is science. Like, that is as much scientific, and energy and electric fields and all kinds of things of that nature. Like, it's the same, but it's in a different package in a way. Like, it's not, because the paranormal just makes it, because it makes it just so diminishing. It's already pretty hard to explain yourself if you are talking with somebody about these type of things, when they throw that word to you, or you mean something paranormal, or superstitious is one fucked up word, I think. And so I guess my point is just, it's not, you can't expect the same sort of evidence from people of paranormal phenomena or spiritual experiences, or like ascension experiences, or people who, talk to spirits, and or us witches or whatever. You can't just, it just doesn't work like that. And I think it's very stifled way of looking at the whole thing. Like, if you're just not interested, or you just don't get it, then you just don't get it. But just maybe look into yourself a little bit deeper, why you feel almost like angry about the fact that some people know and live with these type of things as if they are true and very real, and they get joy out of it, and just like live more fulfilled, full lives. Why is it so like important to prove these people wrong? I think it really goes back to like way back to, it's like linked with all this like witch hunts, and these sort of geniuses of like, or prophets being silenced, or being considered crazy, and you like have to remember, like, look into history. Like, the world has changed so many times, really. It really, things that used to were things that before were impossible, or seemed like sorcery almost, now are everyday things. And because at some point, you just have to open yourself up to new information. Because why wouldn't you? Like, that's one question I always ask of people because everything is about belief. So my thing is, if you can choose between magical life, like a life where magic, alchemy, all this stuff is real, and then you just choose what's being given to you. Like, this is what life is, this is the rules, this is, how it works, this is how you're supposed to feel, think, and see things. If you see things differently or think differently, you're crazy or whatnot. Well, it doesn't even have to be that grim, but the fact that every one of us knows that there is kind of this choice of living your life believing in magic, in like magical things, and believing in something beyond, believing in the unknown, or just like I said, taking what's being served to you. Why choose the other? Like, I'm not trying to be dismissive myself here. Like, I have a lot of acquaintances who I guess people who don't believe in those things, but even with those people I may ask, like, well, why is it? Like, why do you rather choose that? Because in my soul, I would just feel, even if I would be offered that option to live in magic, I would choose that. Because what difference does it make other than it will bring more magic into your life versus you just being like on autopilot. So yeah, that's really my rapid thought about the word paranormal. And just maybe if you are somebody maybe who has like a friend or girlfriend, boyfriend, mother, dad, whoever, who is into these sort of things and maybe talks to you about this kind of stuff, I wouldn't say don't, but be a little more like, oh no, I'm so sorry, we all do that sometimes. So, just be aware of that, like, just because it is dismissive. And if you don't mean it that way, then obviously, big deal. But if you recognize in yourself that there is some sort of maybe superiority, complex shadow kicking in when you just want to throw that, oh, well, you're just superstitious, or like that's that paranormal stuff, or whatever, or etc., you get the gist, then maybe check in with yourself a little bit, like just be a little more open, I guess, or understanding, or neither, but just then let's not spread more more stigma around these sort of topics, because I know for a fact that a lot of people, this spiritual world is something that really gives them fuel to live. So, namaste. Yikes. That was smooth. Namaste again.